Good morning, children. Let us continue the topic convection. It is the second mode of transfer of heat. Convection. In this also, heat is transferred from hot to cold through the material. But it is slightly differing from the conduction. Because in conduction, heat is transferred through the material, but the particles do not move from one place to another place. Particles do not displace from one place to another place, but in the case of convection, the particles actually move from one place to another place. For this, I take the example. We take a container which is filled with water, and we are going to provide the heat from the heater. It is heated. You see, the heat is supplied from the bottom of container. Suppose this is the burner and the heat is given to this part. So in the beginning, the heat is absorbed by only this portion of water, this portion of water particles. In the beginning, as you started to heat the container, in the beginning you won't feel any change at the top. Only this portion of water gets heated and its temperature increased. Here one thing, this amount of water is heated. On heating, everything expands. Everything expands. Expand means size increases. Here this portion of water gets heated and this amount of water expands. It increases, it occupies more space. Due to this expansion, what happens? That particles become lighter. That particles become lighter in that part. And the lighter particles always started to move in the upward direction. Because when we leave an inflated balloon, you find that the balloon is rising. It is because the balloon becomes lighter once it is inflated. If we remove the air, the balloon comes down because it becomes heavier. When the air is filled, it becomes lighter. So the same thing is expanded. Normal balloon lie on the surface. When the balloon is inflated, it expands. The same balloon is expanded. It becomes lighter and moves up. Here also the same thing taken place. The balloon, the water particles, when it is heated, it expands and become lighter. The lighter particles moves upward in this direction. Once the lighter particles goes up, now what happens? To fill this space, the colder particle comes. Here the hot particles, here it was colder particle. Once the water particle goes to the upper part and the cold particle comes to the bottom, again that particles get heat, expanded, become lighter and rises up. In this way, the whole water become hotter. So here you can say that the heat is transferred from hot to cold. In this transfer of heat, the particles from the hotter part actually move from the hotter part to colder part. And this is the process of convection. So whenever we heat the water, the same process takes place. You can observe in your home also. When you heat The water in any container, you can see the movement. Minutely you must observe it. You can see the movement of water particles from the hotter part to colder part. That is the process of convection. So once again I define it. The phenomenon in which heat is transferred from hot to cold through a material by the actual movement of particles is known as convection. This convection process is also taken place in our daily life because the wind is also produced. The wind is also produced by the process of convection. Production of wind is also by the process of convection. And the other examples, the sea breeze, land breeze, these are the phenomena which we observe nearer to the seashore. On the seashore, you observe these phenomena, sea breeze and land breeze. Now we have to discuss about that how wind is produced, because convection is used in all these processes. This wind, formation of wind is taking place naturally. Naturally. For this, if I take, this is the earth surface. On the earth surface we have different parts. At the center we have equator. You must know, you must have studied in the geography. And at the sides, poles. This is North Pole, South Pole. We are imagining it. That from the sun, the earth is receiving heat. From the sun, the earth is receiving heat. From the sun, the same amount of heat, same amount of solar radiation is coming to the earth's surface, but all the parts are not receiving equal amount of heat. At the equator, the amount of heat is more than at the poles. That means pole receives greater amount of heat, equator receives greater amount of heat, poles receive less amount of heat. That's why the air over the equator is hot and here we have cool air. At the pole, cool air. In the previous example, I said that when water is heated, expands and they rises up. Here also the same thing taken place. The air, air is hotter and that hot air rises up. Once the hot air rises up, the cool air come to fill the space from the pole to equator. Here pole to equator. As the hot air they move up, once they reach to a particular height, they become cold again and they go to the south pole and here north pole also. Here you can see that the heat is transferred from hot to cold. In this transfer also the air particles moves from hotter place to colder place. So the convection process takes place. Here how wind is produced? Because once the hot air move from lower place to upper place, and to fill the space, this place, the cool air blow from south pole to north pole, south pole to equator and north pole to equator. This blow of air from pole to equator causes wind. Causes wind. This is how wind is produced on the earth's surface. So we can say the wind is produced due to the process of convection. And we can say the wind is also produced due to uneven heating of earth's surface. This is how wind is produced. In the next video, we will see how land breeze and sea breeze are produced.